Hi everybody, Cheval Mirror. I've only come across one of these in this style before in all my years of restoration, so I thought let's do a little video on this. On the back you'll see there's been a strap put across. When something like that has been put onto the back of a mirror, it's normally because something else is getting weak or coming loose, and these are particularly difficult to work on your own. So I know why that's been put on. It's been done by somebody trying to help but not actually getting to the bottom of the problem. The problem will be, my suspicion, that there's a pivot that makes it tilt or allows it to tilt like this, and that pivot has either come loose or it's become trapped. Because when I actually picked this up from the home, it belongs to a member of the royal family, so when I picked it up it was extremely baggy, as in this was wobbling all over the place, and I was glad that that strap was on. However, now that I've got it back to the workshop, it's become tight. So equally, baggy or tight, there's a problem with it, so I'm going to get down to the bottom of it. Underneath these finials on the top here, they're really baggy, and they've been on and off so many times that the screws just push in. So my best guess is that somebody's taken these off so many times and then looked into the top here and thought, oh, I'm not doing that. Because when you get into there is a little pin, and the pin goes through the centre of a dowel, and the dowel is actually formed as a roller for the straps that are fixed to the side of this, because this actually lifts up as well. So it doesn't matter whether you're a tall person or a short you've got a mirror that will cover all eventualities. As I say, I've only come across one before with straps like this, and it was a right royal pain in the neck, excuse the pun. This time I'm going to get some help. I'm going to get my son to help me take this off, because the prize in all of this is the original mirror. Now, it's probably either a mercury mirror or it's a silvered mirror, and it's at that crossover time because this is a Regency mirror and frame. So my guess is that it's probably the original, and if I had to guess, it will be a mercury mirror. So we'll take it off. It's got a back panel on, as you can see there. This will all come out, that strap will come off, but more importantly we'll find out why the mirror's playing up. So no more talking, I'll start taking it apart, and we'll have a rehash so that you can see what's happening with the actual rollers. See you in a bit. As you can probably see, oops, that is the tape, as they call it, for the roller. If I lift the mirror up, you see the tape coming up and back down. So thankfully there's nothing wrong with the tapes. Right, if you can lift that to there. You got that?
I've got this. Go from the other side, because they went in from.
Pressure off. I'll leave that one on. Just release the other one off. Right, are we ready?
Yeah.
Right, now let's lift up. Right, if you grab the strap now.
Yeah.
Yep. Now let's come over the front.
Rest it on the brace.
Yeah. Okay.
Have you got that?
I've got this if you want to take your pin out.
Take my roller. Yeah. Right, my roller is out.
If you can come and take the roller out this one as well, mate, please.
Yep.
Don't worry about the handed of them, we'll work that out at the end. Okay, right. If you can hold the top of the mirror.
I'll put the top of the mirror.
Let me get my side out first. Right, here we go. There's first lead weight.
And the second.
You out?
I'm out.
Right, walk her over to the bench. Right, just lay it down. Can you reach far enough to get right forwards?
Yep. I'm off.
Lovely job. Just take the cord out. Right. Now, as you can see, they're quite hefty lumps of lead. I don't know what they'd weigh, probably about 4 or 5 pounds each. But they're also very nicely machined pieces of lead. And they are almost exactly the same size as the pocket that they've just come out of. And the reason they're that size is you don't want them rattling and going all baggy. You know when you put a sliding sash window up and down, it often rattles and bangs. Well, that's normally because the wagtail in between the two weights is allowing them to do that. Whereas these on a single, they go down a pocket, and there was actually a draft of air came out of them. Anyway, they're really tight. So, next step is not to release these off, but is to take the back off. So, it doesn't look to me like the back's been off for some time because the screws haven't been chewed up. And they're brass. Yeah, the brass screws. You don't have to worry about putting them back in the same hole as long as you don't have one that's longer than the others. I've said this before. When you're taking out old screws, always find a screwdriver that's the same size as the slot, so that the screwdriver itself isn't going left and right on the screw head before you've started to remove the screw. Simply because if you don't use the screwdriver of the right size, all you'll do is chew up the heads of the screws. And when you've got an old piece of furniture like this, it's the last thing that you want to happen, is to put back in chewed up screws. You can put in new brass screws and make them look old, which is another video in itself, but for the moment what we'll do is try and get this out. So they're often stuck full of muck. Where is it? Here we go. Don't make the mistake putting a screwdriver down the join between the frame and this back panel. Now this normally reveals a little bit to us. All right, lovely mahogany panel. That's not been. Oh, interestingly, these marks across it. It looks like they've been. It looks like it's had a previous life, maybe. Not so much that, but these scars across it. These are actually cut marks that look like they've been done with a chisel. Anyway, we're not doing that now. Stand that out the way, outside the way of me. So here we've got some pivot pins, and these are the sliders. Well, that is baggy. That one is tight. So I'm going to take them both off and see what's going on. All they are, well, you'll see in a minute, they're just a screw going into a socket, and the socket is normally the thickness of the perimeter frame. This is really unusual. At the top here, there's 3 holes that don't correspond to the tops of these knobs. But anyway, it looks like it's an old mercury mirror. Beautiful old thing. There's only one scratch on it in that top portion there, but as it's a black back, when you look through it you won't see that scratch. Very clever the way they've done these stops as well. They've been set in on animal glue, and the stop, imagine it's a little square block, or it's been angled so that the mirror can't slotch around in it after the blocks have been glued in place, and none of them are loose, which is great. So let's take these off as the next job. Right, what we've got there is a little felt washer, and then that little screw, and that's it. The screw is actually it's a threaded square, and the screw itself looks like it's not been quite over tightened, but it's got very, very worn. So I'll show you a trick that we can do to make that better. And as you can see there, look, that's the slider. It's got the tongue going on there. That's the slider that slides down the channel that's been made in the actual side frames for it. So that screws into that like so, and that there is the thickness of that side frame, less a little bit to allow adjustment, so that that can be set in, and that's all there is to the pivot. But the problem is that screw is baggy, moving back and forth almost one full thread. It's still grabbing it, so I'll show you a way of sorting that one out. But let's have a look at the other side, because we'll do them both at the same time. I'll do the other side. Don't put anything metal on this. You're bound to scratch it if you do. So set yourself some rules. If you've got glass, keep anything metal or wood off it while you're working on it. Right, there's the other one. As you can see, there's the tongue. That's actually been broken at some time, which is a bit of a pain in the neck, really. Right. I can't put that back in. I've got to make another. That's part of the problem. Not all of it, but part of it. So I haven't got an easy get out on this one. So I'm just going to have to make another one of these. I'm not going to glue a piece on because it won't last. So carefully take off this webbing. What a shame. I bet it sat down in the pocket there, but no, I can't put that back on. I'll come back to you in a bit when I've made a new one. It's boring to watch me make this, so I'll see you in a few minutes. When I was talking to you a minute ago, I was saying how I'd got to change or make a new slider for going down this groove. Well, I haven't only got to do that, I've got to mend this. Can you see that? That is supposed to be glued up tight against there, and it's the same on the other leg as well. So what I've done is I've made up 2 pieces of timber the exact size of the pocket, so that will go down there, slide down and keep that in place while the glue goes off where I glue that. And this is just packing tape on there. But if you put the packing tape on, I have to glue that first, push that down there, and then the packing tape will stop the glue from sticking to this bit of wood, which would be a catastrophe if it got stuck down there. So that's what I'm going to do next, and I'll also put a little bit on a split just there. So glue this, put those down, wait for it to cure, and then I'll go and make that slider to go down there. Like with many things, you start off thinking that you're going to do one thing and you end up doing more than one thing. You know, I showed you these where these sliders were a little bit damaged, lost its tongue off one side, and then the other one had broken part of its tongue off down at the bottom. Well, I was going to just put new ones on, but when I got to this, the actual webbing is rotten and you can see it all fraying. So I thought, do you know what, let's make some new ones. So here's one that I made new as a spare. So they have been put on the sides along with new strapping. Now the strapping's been glued onto the face and then stitched to form the webbing around onto here, so that can't go anywhere. I think they're the right length, so all I've got to do now, fingers crossed, is put the back on, screw it into position, and then put these back into position there. As you remember, the last time I was doing a little bit of filming was the front of the sliders had broken in the pockets. So what I'd done is I'd made up these so that the pockets could be glued back into position on the front. There's no way of getting any cramps down inside there, so I made these up like that, and that just stops the glue sticking that inside there, and the same on this side. So they're done with now, so the weights should go straight back down in there. I'll get this panel glued, screwed back into position, and then fingers crossed the weights can go in, and can put the finials back on the top, take this strapping off the back, and then it'll just be a case of waxing it. Sounds easy, doesn't it? But it's ended up being a much bigger job than I ever thought it was going to be. However, it's going to last for years because it's got new strapping on it now. So I'll get putting the back on. That's all the screws back in position. Now it's time to put the whole thing back in position, so I'm going to ask Ben to give me a hand with this side. I'll hold this side and slide it in position, so fingers crossed it fits. This is the slider that is fixed to that got the webbing fixed to it, but this is a spare one that I made up. So as you can see, they're quite fine, the little groove that's the tongs go into, but they go down there, and as you can see, that's quite baggy. But when you get the webbing glued onto the back, that all of a sudden has a friction face to slide down that. So I'm quite expecting to have to put a bit of candle wax on that just until it's all settled in a little bit. But next stage is first slide of the weights. Right, are we ready? Right, so keep your hand underneath. Now down. Well, after a lot of fishing about, we finally got that back in, and it is as taut as it needs to be now. So wherever you bring it, it stays in the same position. You tilt it, stays in the same position, and that is exactly what it's supposed to do. I am going to have to put a little bit of candle wax onto them, but that is how it should be. So just got the finials to put back on. I'll tell you what, it could have been a lot worse, but what I'm going to do is give the whole thing a wax, then we'll just have a final shot at it of it at the end. But that's how you replace the straps on the side, but also make new sliders for it when they've become damaged. Hope you've enjoyed it. It's taken a little bit longer than I expected to do, but at least it's got a few more years in it now with trouble-free use. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. I'm going to try and do some more videos along with my MND videos as well. Just lately I've just been a bit too busy, but thanks for watching. See you next time.